Hello, hello. Hey, friends. How's it going? This is Carrie Konyha at holisticyclic.com in Sedona, Arizona, coming on to share some insights with all of us here around the full moon lunar eclipse happening tomorrow morning. I'm going to share some insights about that. We're also going to talk about Taurus season since I wasn't able to come on and talk about that earlier. Last week the way I wanted to and talk about where we're at in the wheel of the year. I'm going to share some about the astrology that's going on right now. And of course, I'm going to be doing a tarot reading for all of us. I'm going to tune in and with all of us that are here and share some insights through the tarot as well. This is sort of a spontaneous live. I wasn't sure when I was going to have the time to do it, but I'm glad to be chiming in right now. I'm actually skipping out on yoga tonight to be here with all of you. But it was important for me to come on and share with all of you because the energy around this eclipse, in case you haven't noticed, is like no joke, really intense, right? So first, let me share the way I've been feeling the energy, and then any of you who want to chime in around what you've been feeling, definitely feel free in the chat in the comments. So for the past few days, I've been feeling the energy building. It has felt definitely intense. On one hand, it feels like there's this really sort of high strung, intense electric energy. And I'm sure that that's connected to both Mercury and Uranus being conjunct the sun. But it also feels like this deep pull as well. So a part of that is the moon coming into Scorpio, but also Pluto went retrograde just a few days ago, still in Aquarius, but it will be retrograding back into Capricorn. It's going to be retrograde for a few months. I'm going to talk about that later on. And so, yeah, I didn't get to do my month overview last week. So instead, this month, I'm going to be chiming in each week and just incrementally sharing what the astrology is for each particular week as we're progressing through. So, okay, we're full in Taurus season right now, and I like to share what the mastery teachings are for each season as the sun is transiting through the signs. And what I mean by masteries is, how we can harness the power of the sun moving through each sign to support our soul growth, our evolution. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and we do have some Venus ingresses going on, transits going on right after the eclipse, which is going to be a nice relief to the energy. I'll talk about that in a moment. But when we're in Taurus season, Taurus energy is very tactile. It's an earth sign. And for that reason, it's very connected to the senses, pleasures of the senses, sensuality, but it's also a lot about our determination. And so the mastery teachings that are connected to Taurus are a lot about really staying focused in alignment with what our deepest, truest intent is, right? So being loyal to our intent is the note that I wrote down here, which means I'm staying grounded and keeping my awareness focused in the direction of my intention, what I'm intending to experience, create, manifest, contribute to life, but intent in the way of how you are holding space for the life force energy flowing through you to channel through you, giving power to your intent through clarity of awareness regarding what your ambitions are, your needs, your goals, things of that nature. So, loyalty to intent means staying very conscious and deliberately streamlining your attention in the direction of your intent. And that is the primary mastery teaching of Taurus season. We still have another few weeks of Taurus. The sun will move into Gemini later this month, and I'll be coming on and talking about that as well. But longevity, meaning the continuation of really staying focused in our intent and not allowing ourselves to get sidetracked is definitely the energy to embrace right now. Also, on the sensuality level, the true definition of sensuality, again, enjoying pleasures of the senses, which means being grounded and present in the here and now, really being present with what you're experiencing through the physical senses as a way of almost like a mindfulness practice, right? Staying grounded in the here and now, in your body, in your senses on the earth plane. And also, regarding this energy, we are currently right now at the halfway point between spring and summer. And the halfway point between spring and summer, sometimes called May Day or Beltane as an ancient pagan holiday, which is basically just European shamanism, is a time where we celebrate fertility. And that can be in all forms. We're celebrating the flourishing of nature. We're celebrating the fertility of our own health and vitality. This is the best time of year to be holding space for whatever you're intending to grow and nurture into full manifestation as we come into the rest of this year. And there was something else I wanted to say about that. I'm sure it will loop back around. But anyway, so this is a really good week to just do like a double check in with yourself. What is my true intention? What do I really feel guided to be holding space for or um, uh, manifesting, creating, exploring, experiencing? So we have that energy going on. However, I do want to remind us all that because we're in the middle of this eclipse corridor. We just had the solar eclipse 2 weeks ago, and now we have the lunar eclipse tomorrow. And so we're going to be talking mainly about that. When we are in the midst of eclipses, it's not advisable to do any type of intention setting type of work. For example, typically on the new moon is when we set intentions for the month ahead, unless it's an eclipse. And the reason for that is when we have eclipses, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, the light of the luminaries are being obscured. And because of that, we, planetary wise, are being exposed to cosmic energies that we do not usually get exposed to when we have the usual light shining in from the sun and the moon. There's all kinds of, energies going on out there. All of the planets radiate energy in the same way that the sun does, which is why astrology works, because we're impacted on subtle levels by those energies. So, anyway, we've got the lunar eclipse going on tomorrow morning in the sign of Scorpio. Lunar eclipses, or the full moon, let me say, typically is a time where we would have a full illumination, awareness, manifestation of whatever our new moon intentions had been. It's also a time of releasing, letting go, allowing. So, although we may have a natural culmination of some type of energy that we unconsciously set in motion or consciously on the new moon, we don't want to do any type of magical workings during this time. The energy around this eclipse cycle in general, meaning the solar eclipse we had 2 weeks ago and this lunar eclipse, the collective energy around this really is very much supporting us all in humanity in what I've been calling leveling up, right? I did do a video 2 weeks ago about the solar eclipse. So if you didn't see that yet, you can check that out. It's still up on my channel. Leveling up is rising into our higher, that next step for us, wherever you are on that path, on the path of evolution. This is the time where we're being supported and rising into the next level of awareness, the next level of consciousness. And it feels like with the full moon, lunar eclipse being in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is the archetype of the alchemist. It's a lot about deep, deep unconscious aspect of us. So this is a time we can say from the full moon till the next new moon, while the moon is waning, this little period of time for the next 2 weeks after today is a really good time to do any type of healing work that is connected to letting go, clearing, releasing, trauma healing, healing of the nervous system, restoration, regulation of the nervous system, shamanic practices such as breath work, sound healing, affirmations, mantras after the solar eclipse and in the 2 weeks approaching the next new moon. Now, another thing that we have that is supporting that is just 2 days after this eclipse we have tomorrow, Venus goes into Cancer, and that is a super nurturing energy. Venus feels at home in Cancer. And so that energy coming in will be a big relief from this sort of pulled and opposite extreme energies we've been feeling for the past few days as we're building up to this eclipse. That nurturing energy is very conducive to especially emotional healing, healing emotional wounds, Venus in Cancer. But right now, let me back it up a little bit. This full moon lunar eclipse is happening in opposition to the sun, Uranus, and Mercury, all in Taurus. Now, that sun, Uranus, and Mercury have been dancing around alignments, conjunctions, and will continue to do so for the next week. So we are still going to feel that energy. Taurus themes have to do with manifestation. It has to do with the financial sector of our life, individually and collectively. Uranus is unexpected developments, sudden change. It relates to higher mind. So, on personal levels, we could be having what feels like divinely inspired ideas or awarenesses that are connected to um, creative ways to enhance our financial growth. This could also bring sudden changes with the economy stuff that's been going on in general, collectively speaking, as well. So we can be aware of those things. But then Mercury conjunct the sun brings in an energy where we can also have mm, be inspired around creative ideas regarding things that we might want to be learning or teaching or mentoring other people. So we have that component as well. The full moon lunar eclipse is making sort of a wide trine to both Mars in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces. So the trine aspect is beneficial. Mars in Cancer trining the moon to me feels like it's fueling our ambitions that are connected to matters having to do with our emotional well-being, Cancer, matters having to do with the energy quality in our home. It's a lot about wanting to channel our energy in the direction of creating a peaceful, serene, nurturing home environment. And then with the moon also trining Saturn in Pisces, we've been talking about Saturn in Pisces because it's been going on for a few weeks now. This energy can lend itself on the high octave, the high vibration expression. It can be a lot about supporting us in manifesting our deeper goals and dreams. On a lower vibrational aspect, we could possibly be feeling a little bit helpless in how do I manifest my goals and dreams, or having a confusion around um, like a solid vision for yourself and navigating the how. The how am I going to create something can be like a challenge aspect of that. But there's always a remedy. And the remedy in this case would be really just having faith in your own higher vibrational goals and dreams with the Pisces, without worrying about the how and just trusting that you'll be guided in the how along the way. Now, the other thing I want to mention about the astrology connected to this lunar eclipse, the only, what I just talked about is really the only direct aspects to the eclipse. But we do also have an opposition between Pluto, which is retrograde now in Aquarius, and Mars in Cancer. So to me, this feels like it's very connected to that pull that we've all been feeling collectively over the past few days. Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. Pluto in Aquarius is all about themes having to do with our creativity, our individuality, and our freedom. So that opposing Mars in Cancer to me feels like it's having the effect of really wanting to feel completely aligned in your liberation and your freedom. For some of us, there could be contrasting energies between my responsibilities at home, family, things like that, and my individual freedoms. But there's always a way to balance, right? And so for some of us, we may need to have some reflection on how can I balance my need for personal freedom, creative expression, independence with my sense of duty and responsibility at home or the private sector of my life regarding family and things of that nature. Just having the awareness and staying focused on what the pathway forward could be, what the solution could be, typically is enough to open the gateways for insights to come in along those lines as well. So, another thing I want to say about the astrology, there's with the chart around the lunar eclipse by itself, which is going to be bringing us through this next few weeks. I feel like these energies are definitely going to be emphasized until we have the next new moon on the 19th. But so right now, there's an emphasis on earth element and water element. My psychic sense on this, and um, keeping my fingers crossed that it actually won't happen or won't be extreme, but with the eclipse and the water, the moon is very connected to the tides and things like that, and the earth, we could see unusual earth storm patterns having to do with water or earthquakes under the water. Tsunamis could possibly happen with this type of energy. On a personal level, with us, the earth and the water is connected to root chakra themes and second chakra themes. Root chakra is all about grounding, centering, establishing a sense of balance within ourselves, establishing or refreshing, revitalizing our sense of stability, safety, security in the world. And the second chakra themes are connected to a lot of what I've already talked about. It's sensuality, it's emotional well being, it's creative inspiration, it's our own unique expression of the sacred feminine for both men and women. We all have both within us. And this would be a really good time to embrace that energy within you, embrace your own unique feeling of connection with the sacred feminine as an energy that can be that nurturing factor as we are now in this time where we're being guided really just to surrender, release, let go, and allow. It's in doing that that we can all very organically just sort of like recalibrate in regard to wherever we feel we may have gotten off track with our harmony flow state, mind, body, spirit alignment. Just looking at my notes here to see, okay, this full moon is called the flower moon. And that's because this is a time where everything is blooming, growing, expanding, flourishing. And we are doing that as well within ourselves. And so, collectively speaking, we are all in an energy now that what we're releasing, what we're surrendering, what we're letting go, um, basically are going to be energies, circumstances, beliefs, ideas, feelings that have served their purpose and that we don't need to carry forward with us. Okay, so with that, I'm going to pull a card, a tarot card for all of us here, whether you're tuning in live now or you're watching this later on. So I'm going to go through the signs, and the way that I'm doing this, this is going to, it's worth it to listen to all of it because if you have your birth chart, you can use the messages that are coming up for wherever the placement of that sign is in your chart. So this can be, of course, for your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, and then if you have your chart where the other planets are as well on the other signs. For example, if you know that you have several planets in Virgo, for example, listen to the Virgo message, and that will tell you about what's going on in that sector of your birth chart. If you don't have your birth chart, you can easily get one for free at astro.com, astro.com. All you need is your exact birth date, your birth time, and your birth location, and you can draw up your natal chart for free. It's going to look similar to this. This is one that I did just for the event of the lunar eclipse. And then you can print it out and learn over time how to read it with me as I'm guiding you all through these things. So, the other thing I want to mention here is I'm working with a brand new tarot deck. Hold on, let me get a sip of my tea here. I just found out about this deck the other day through another tarot reader that I really love. And I was intrigued. And so I bought it right away and I'm going to work with it for us today. It's called, I'm going to hold the box up. It's called the In Between Tarot. And it's by Janine Worthington. You can get it on Amazon. The thing that I was really intrigued by when I discovered this deck through the other reader, and the other reader is Tara Green. Some of you might know who she is. I love her. She's an amazingly knowledgeable astrologer, tarot reader, and intuitive. I had a big birthday this past earlier this year. My birthday's in January, and I had a reading with her and I really loved it. So anyway, I saw her using this deck and I was intrigued because the person who created this deck created it as a bridging type of energy. So it's called the In Between Tarot because it sh- shows in the visual form, in the symbolism, how to move from the energy of one card to the energy of the next card. And it felt really fitting to use this for us today because we are all in very much in between transitional times right now. All of us in humanity are being guided to release something in preparation for embracing something else. And so that is what we're going to talk about today or look into as I'm looking at these cards. I'm only working with the major arcana today. I like to do that sometimes when it's like a significant time of soul growth, soul evolution. I mean, it's always a significant time of soul growth if you ask me, but more sometimes more than others. And this eclipse really is a lot ultimately about our soul growth evolution. It's very connected to healing, and then empowerment is on the other side of that. So I'm going to go ahead and give these cards a few shuffles, and I'm going to start with Aries. Now, Aries, right now, you have Jupiter in your sign and you have Chiron in your sign. And so for Aries, this has been a time of expansion. It's been a time where we can make a lot of headway on old wounds with Chiron being there as well. And so let's see what else wants to come up for you. So again, this is going to be your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, or whatever planets you have in Aries, if you do, or looking at that house in your chart. And I won't keep saying that for every time, but just so you know that that's going to be what it is. Okay. So Aries. All right. Awesome. Aries is between the Hermit and the Wheel of Fortune. So you can see, I don't know if you can actually read it, but it says the name of like the Hermit here and the Wheel here. And then the image depicts insights, messages through the symbolism that show us how to bridge where we are. So, Aries, right now, you are in between the Hermit and the Wheel. The Hermit is all about connecting with your inner wisdom, your inner guidance. And the Wheel, also known as the Wheel of Fortune, is the energy of change. It's the cosmic winds of change blowing through your life. And so when we're tuning into this for you, Aries, specifically what you're tuning into with your inner wisdom is regarding either the change you're intending, the change you're seeing unfold, and really tuning into what your inner guidance is and being prepared. You're getting ready to shift from a time of that inner meditative guidance into flowing with the energy of change. So this is a really good time to get clear on, where am I witnessing an opportunity for change? What is my inner guidance and how can I flow with that? Next up is Taurus. Taurus, you have a lot going on right now because you've got the sun and Mercury and Uranus all conjunct in your sign. The North Node is there as well. So this is a super activating time for you. With the sun, Mercury, and Uranus, it's pay attention to sudden flashes of insights or inspirations that come in, right? Because Uranus is higher mind. Mercury is communication. And so it feels like you could be getting sudden flashes of insights around, especially themes having to do with your manifestation goals, financial growth goals, things like that. Okay, so let's see what wants to come up for you. Ta-da! You are between, let me look at this here. The Devil and the Tower. Okay, this is what the card looks like. And it feels like this. Typically, the Devil card represents what we feel restricted to, what we feel enslaved by. And the Tower supports us in being liberated in and of itself by anything that has become a force of energetic stagnation or density. So, in this combination, being in between these two, it feels like you're ready to shift out of that energy. You're ready to shift out of whatever has become not useful for you anymore. And Taurus is really good at seeing those things in life, right? And renewing your dedication to vibrance, growth, new beginnings. It's allowing, hey, whatever wants to fall away. Whatever's not serving me, I'm willing to let it go. Wherever I have felt stifled, wherever I have felt constricted, limited, I'm letting it go, knowing that my rising into flourishing is on the other side of that. Let's go ahead and move on to Gemini. Gemini, you have Venus in your sign right now, but Venus is moving into Cancer in just a few more days. So, this maybe has been a time where you've had romantic ideals going on. This could be a time where you've been really feeding yourself and nourishing yourself through learning, studying, engaging in conversation with people, enjoying social activity. And then the sun moves into your sign at the end of this month on the 21st, 22nd, something like that. And so you're moving into your power time of the year as well. So let's see what else wants to come up for you regarding that. All right. So you are between the Temperance. Dang, that's hard to read. It's the light. And the Devil, between the Temperance and the Devil. I feel like this is a message literally around noticing but not caving to where you may be tempted to focus in directions that are outside of what your primary intention is, like we talked about uh, earlier in this video, this being a time where we're all really being guided to stay while we're in Taurus season, really dedicated to what our intention is. Gemini is really social, playful, curious, and it can be easy to be like, ooh, the shiny thing over here, ooh, the shiny thing over here. And so try to, be aware of those temptations, but then ask yourself, is what I'm focusing on or about to revert my focus to, is it in any way going to help my bigger picture intention? And so this is a time for you, Gemini, maybe to be a little bit more self-disciplined. Again, the longevity of dedication to your focus wins the race right now. So be aware of the tendency to be tempted to divert your focus or distract yourself, right? And, you can distract yourself if you want to. And we do want to be in the energy of playfulness, especially Gemini, as we're coming into the end of the month, but have some type of self appointed, self chosen discipline, meaning dedication to whatever it is your bigger picture goal is, for lack of a better word. Okay, let's move into Cancer. I'm just shuffling these up in between each reading here. I like to pick the cards, obviously, intuitively, and it feels like it is this one. So it's the Hanged Man and the Death card. So for Cancer, you're between the Hanged Man and the Death card. The Hanged Man is about different getting new perspectives. When we talk about the Hanged Man in regard to the different stages of soul evolution, the Hanged Man gives us an opportunity to pause, reflect, see things from different perspectives, temporarily suspend our activity so that we can recenter ourselves in a space of calm so that we can hear our inner guidance. And then the Death card ultimately, at the end of the day, is about rebirth and renewal. It is a symbolic death or release of anything that's no longer serving us in our life so that we can rise into higher octaves of ourself. So when I'm looking at this card here, the fire in the card is really jumping out at me. Fire is transformative, it's transmuting, it's purifying. So what do you need to purify? What are you in the process of purifying, transmuting, transcending? So, with the blending of these being in the in between of these two cards, ultimately it's shifting from a passive energy, which is the Hanged Man, into more of an alchemical energy of transformation. And it makes sense being that Cancer, you're in Mars right now, but getting ready to move into Venus, it is going to be a totally different energy in the next few days. You're moving from more of a drive or commitment to focusing on action oriented things in your personal life to more of a nurturing energy. And so, yeah, feel into how that is a match for you. And we're going to come into Leo now. Okay, Leo, Mars goes into your sign on the 20th. And so Mars in Leo is definitely like action packed energy. Leo is creative. It thrives in creative self expression. It thrives in enjoying romantic energy. And Mars is a driving force behind that. And so for Leo, you're about to come into a super passionate, creative, enthusiastic time. And I believe Mars is going to be in your sign. Let me see. I wrote that down. Dun, dun, dun. Until July, till mid-July. So that's a pretty good stint there. Okay, let's see what wants to come up. Here we go. All right, Justice and the Hanged Man. Justice riding in towards the Hanged Man. Okay, for Leo, given what I just said about everything that's going on with you, Mars going into your sign later in the month and all of that, you will be, I'll say right now, with this eclipse energy, before you're coming into that boost of Mars coming into your sign, right now for the eclipse, yours with justice, the justice energy is about really learning um, lessons around actions and consequences. And so, for that reason, it can be connected to karma. Karma, as in, these are the actions of my consequences. Or these, sorry, these are the consequences of my actions. These are the result of my actions. And it brings in contemplations around living in alignment with your personal sense of integrity, which is where the hanged man energy comes in, the contemplation energy. Are my actions producing results that feel good to me? Or are there some adjustments that I need to make? So, having personal reflections around, are you living in alignment with what you say your values are or not? This is a good time to just consider those things. What are my values? What do I tell myself my values are? Am I living in alignment with them? If so, great. If not, this is a really good time to make those adjustments. Okay, moving on to Virgo. Virgo energy. Virgo is actually the archetype of the healer. Okay, and let's see what wants to come up for Virgo. Feels like it is this one. Awesome. This is, you're in between the moon and the sun. Perfect for the eclipse energy that we've had going on. So you can see here that there's a person, looks like a man, floating in the water towards this radiant sunlight energy, which is actually like a boat with a sail. Okay, so the sun, rebirth, revitalization, renewal. The moon is our deep unconscious self. It's our primitive nature, it's our intuition. And so it feels like the message for you is about surrendering, going with the flow, trusting your intuition to guide you in the direction of where your revitalization ultimately is, the path of that. So that is the best way to harness the power of this eclipse energy for you specifically. Virgo. Again, Virgo sun, rising, moon, or planets in Virgo if you know where that is in your chart. So coming into Libra here. You're in between the Hierophant and the Lovers. Sacred union within yourself. And how interesting, because Libra is all about balance, harmony, relationships. So this is about finding a new balance and harmony within your relationship, within yourself. And the Hierophant comes in to invite in higher education, higher knowledge, philosophical understandings, spiritual awarenesses. So you're being asked to embrace, explore things that have to do with spirituality, life philosophies as a tool in deepening that sense of internal sacred union, sacred marriage within yourself. And ultimately, the concept, the idea of sacred marriage, sacred union within ourselves in shamanic astrology is a lot about, the energy we need to be in uh, before we could really ever truly experience the reflection of that in another in the form of a sacred union with another person. We have to have that within ourselves first and foremost. Even if you already are in a relationship, this is a time of strengthening the sacred union, inner male, inner female, within yourself. And the tool for that is connected to what are your personal philosophies? What are your spiritual beliefs? Do you feel enriched and clear on those things, or might this be a time of seeking and exploring? Okay, next we're coming into Scorpio. So, of course, the lunar eclipse is in your sign. So, you're going to be really impacted by this. Again, this is a time of letting go, releasing, allowing. Scorpio energy is a lot about alchemy, shadow work, transformation, metaphoric cycles of birth, life, death, regeneration. And so let's see what wants to come up for you. You're between the Tower and the Star. I love this because the Tower, I think one of the other cards we looked at earlier was connected to that as well. Again, the Tower comes in to support us in being liberated from anything that is a pattern of energetic density, stagnation, anything that's outworn, anything that's not serving us, which liberates us to be more fully on our path of uh, highest timeline, our true soul calling. And so here we've got this literally burning bush, right? A tree that is on fire. So transmutation, purification, clearing away the old, rising into your truer soul calling is what this eclipse is supporting you in. Okay, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is between the Wheel of Fortune and Justice. So for Sagittarius, the Wheel of Fortune and Justice, this does feel like it could be soul evolution, karmic learning, right? So justice, we talked about that earlier. Balance, cosmic balance. It's the action and result thing, karma. Wheel of Fortune is growth, change, movement. So this could be connected to like a cosmic destiny. It could be a cosmic destiny connected to what your past actions have been. But I'm noticing here that there's a lot of orange in this card, which is connected to the second chakra. So if you're a person who is realizing that maybe you've gotten a little bit off track in your life, you can get back on track by reconnecting with what your deeper feeling of well-being is connected to, which is like a second chakra theme. Feeling of well-being, staying connected to that, getting out of your head and staying connected to what feels aligned with the feeling of well-being, or what do I need in order to experience the feeling of well-being in my life again, and that will get you on track. If you already have been on track, you've been making choices that are bringing positive results, then you're like full steam ahead and life is supporting you in expanding into even more of that energy. Let me know in the comments below how these messages are sitting with everyone. Also, let me know where you're chiming in from. I'd love to know. Okay, we're coming into Capricorn now. Let's see. So we talked about how Pluto is right now retrograde in Aquarius, and it's going to be going back into Capricorn, and it's going to be retrograde until October, I believe. Yeah. And so Capricorns are going to be feeling this. So I've said this before, I am a Capricorn sun. So I've already been living with Pluto in my 10th house in Capricorn since 2008. And I'm fine. I'm alive. I'm well. I honestly feel that having Capricorn in my 10th house since 2008 honestly has enabled me to grow so much as a healing arts practitioner. I'm the energy of it has been actually really helpful. And so if you're a Capricorn, notice, it's going to affects everyone differently depending on what house it is in. But Capricorns can expect to be revisiting themes that have been prominent since 2008 in regard to the house that your Capricorn is in. That makes sense. So let's see what wants to come up here for you. Feels like it wants to be this one. Okay. Between the star and the moon. Beautiful. The star and the moon. The star card in the tarot is very similar to like North Node of the Moon energy in the way that it represents our true soul calling, our true soul evolution, or not our evolution, but just what our soul really gravitates towards. And then the moon is again your deep unconscious, your intuition. So this eclipse is unlocking within you perhaps more of a conscious awareness as to what your more deep unconscious sense of soul calling is. And the star illuminates that path forward for you. Now, let me say this again, because we're in this letting go, making room for new beginnings. We don't really want to try to implement any new beginnings until we have the next new moon on the 19th. I'm going to be coming on for a new moon video, of course, and I'll be coming on in between there as well, just to keep us updated as to the astrology. But anything having to do with the new beginning part, now is a really good time to just be feeling into what those ideas are, but not really implementing them until we have the new moon, especially because Mercury is still retrograde also. Mercury's retrograde until the 14th, but it's really going to be until the end of the month before it comes out of its shadow period. So it's more of a time of contemplation, getting clear internally. That's a really good use of the energy right now. So let's go ahead and move into Aquarius. Pluto is retrograde in your sign right now. And again, Pluto in Aquarius is all about themes having to do with our personal creativity, our liberation, our independence, our freedom. And so with Pluto retrograde, having considerations and reflections around that right now, but let's take a look to see what message is coming up for you specifically around this eclipse. So you are between the Death card and the Temperance card. But the energy actually looks very beautiful and peaceful. The Death card component is connected to this mythical bird, the phoenix, which is depicted in some death cards in other decks. And then the angel here, you can softly see there's like a little chalice here passing forth liquid. So between death and temperance, this means that transitioning out of death and coming into temperance is an action where we're more rising into a higher awareness, a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and having the opportunity to get grounded and integrated and established in that in preparation for whatever our next cycle of growth is going to be coming with the new moon. So that feels really good energy. Okay, let's go into Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces right now, bringing structure to the etheric realms of our deeper soul level dreams, bringing structure to creativity is another thing as well that's connected to Saturn and Pisces. And for Pisces, you are in between, I love this one, the Lovers card and the Chariot. Just letting you take the vision in. So again, Lovers is around our self harmony, self fulfillment. The Chariot card is about the path of heart, courageousness, um, guiding ourselves forward in the direction of what our enthusiasms are, with determination, with ambition, even when we don't know what the outcomes could be. So, having had time to reground and regroup and really fortify your sense of self fulfillment, balance within yourself, now you're ready to take the next step and to guide yourself forward in the direction of what those goals and dreams are, as we just talked about with Saturn in your sign. So it feels like for you, Pisces, the next lunar cycle for you can be a time of feeling empowered in your leadership and in guiding yourself forward in the direction of the goals and dreams that you want to manifest and making headway along those lines. So that feels great. And that's it. We've made it all the way around the circle. Let me do a card for the collective. Let me pull one for the collective, all of us, everyone in humanity. What's the collective growth cycle right now that's connected to the eclipse? High Priestess and Empress. High Priestess, which is the lunar part here, is connected to both of these energies actually are very much connected to the sacred feminine. We talked about that a little bit before. The High Priestess is about holding space, holding that subtle energy space, holding that etheric space intentfully, intuitively, holding that etheric space for manifestation. And then the Empress fills that space. The Empress is fertility, it's creative energy. In most tarot cards, the Empress is depicted as being pregnant. So it's literally a time of fertility, growth, flourishing, fruition, abundance. So all of us in humanity right now are holding space for our flourishing. I love this. Makes great sense. I really invite us all to tune into what am I personally holding space for my own personal flourishing, and how can I contribute the exuberance of my own personal flourishing to my sphere of influence? How can I impact the greater good within my sphere of influence in alignment with how I am personally flourishing? Let me know in the comments anything that you'd like to add, contribute, ask. If you want to ask me questions, I'm happy to address them in the comments below or in the next video. I'm going to chime in next week with some more astrology insights for the week ahead. And then, of course, we're going to do a new moon activation. And when we're getting closer to Gemini season, I'm going to talk about the masteries of Gemini, how we can utilize that energy for our soul growth. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me. For all of you that tuned in, all my love, blessings, namaste, and I'll see you around the corner in the next video, guys. Okay.